Is Forefoot Strike really better for you? Hey guys, it's JP, and you have probably heard countless times that you should not heel strike and you should only land around the forefoot region. But is the forefoot strike really better for you? So in this video, I'm going to dispel some common misconceptions about foot strike. My aim is not to restrict the way you move, but rather help you understand movement so you can find the best way to run for you. Now, let's get started. Let's start with one of the most common examples used to explain why forefoot strike is better, which is hopping in place. You will notice that when you hop, you will naturally land on the forefoot region. If you try to do this on the heel region, it will get uncomfortable. Because of this, people argue that forefoot strike is better. But is this really a good example? Not exactly. There are two things that really stand out with this argument. When you are hopping, this is more reflective of what goes on during the push-off or propulsion phase. This is where the foot is leaving the ground. When you run, you will typically push off through the forefoot regardless of whether you are a heel striker or a forefoot striker. You will not see someone push off from the heels during this phase. The other problem with this argument is the way the foot landing actually occurs. As I mentioned earlier, hopping is more reflective on the push-off phase and not the landing. If you watch this closely, the foot does not just land straight down. Instead, you will typically notice the foot actually moving in as it lands. The foot actually works kind of like a rocking chair. The shape of the heel may further improve the foot's function as a rocker to make the transition from the landing to the push-off phase smoother. Now, another common thing people say is that forefoot strike is better for performance and speed. This is only partially true. It actually depends on what pace and race you are running at. When you watch high-level sprinters, you will notice they land on their forefoot. This makes sense as landing in this manner basically allows you to take quicker steps, which is key in sprinting. So yes, you will notice people more on their forefoot when they run at relatively faster paces. But what if we looked at long distance races like the marathon? What would we see from the top marathon runners like those we see in the Olympics? We can turn to some research that actually examined this. The first thing I want you to notice is that it is not black and white. There is a mixture of different foot strike patterns seen in elite marathon runners. This is important to note because you need to find the best way to run for you and not just because your role model runs a certain way. Now, the next thing to note is that there is a certain striking pattern that a majority of these elite runners do, which is not forefoot strike. It is actually more of a rear foot landing, more commonly known as heel striking. So this actually counters the argument that forefoot strike is simply better for performance. It's way more complex than that. Now, how about from a pain and injury aspect? People claim that running on your forefoot decreases pain and injury when you run. Let's tackle the pain part first. You may have heard stories about runners who claim that their knee pain disappears when they switch to a forefoot strike. And honestly, this makes sense. When you land on the forefoot, this may actually decrease the amount of loads placed on the knees when you run. But the thing is, these forces don't just magically disappear. Instead, they may be more redistributed into the ankle and foot region. So while switching to a forefoot landing may be a good strategy for people with knee pain, it may not be a great strategy for those with pain or irritability in the ankle or foot region, like in the Achilles region. Now let's tackle this last topic, which is injury. People say that you will get less injured when you run on your forefoot, but based on the current research, there is actually no strong evidence to show any change in risk of injury whether you run on the forefoot, midfoot, or rear foot region. Honestly, there are typically things I prioritize more from an injury standpoint. And that is some insight on foot strike. I hope this allows you to find the best way to run for you. Also, I believe that this is an important message to get out there. So I would really appreciate it if you spread the word so other runners can run at their best too. And as always, thank you for watching.